Hi, and welcome to the Revive, Thrive, and Optimize podcast. I'm Billy Weiss, compounding pharmacist and health and wellness expert. This morning, as always, across from me, my co-host Janet, and behind the scenes, producer Mike. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. I've got to remember to sit up straight in case my mom watches. I love listening to podcasts, and sometimes I forget that you can just also watch us on YouTube. So go to YouTube and like and share and subscribe. It's free and it's fun, and we've always got some fun info. And please write in and ask us your questions, because I have to come up with a topic every week. Billy never knows what that's going to be. And so today I want to talk more about GLP-1s and sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly of GLP-1s. And where are we now with the science, with the data, with new ones that are coming out? So first of all, what is a GLP-1?
Yeah, so GLP-1s are kind of a really hot topic right now. What they're really known for is weight loss, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do. They work
Proven,
that GLP pathway to help suppress people's hunger hormones or hunger signals.
Like the ghrelin and the leptin.
And they also they can help with addictions to other things, like, say, smoking or alcohol or different things. So they kind of turn down that pathway that makes us addicted from foods to other things.
So is it working more on your brain or on your gut?
Well, GLP is made in the gut, and then it has an effect in the brain. So kind of both, is the way that it works.
So yes. I know that, it's been a couple of years now that Ozempic or semaglutide came out, and that's had huge success on people losing major amounts of weight.
Yes.
But on the flip side of that, I hear there's side effects. I have friends that are on it. They've lost a lot of weight, but they've also lost a lot of muscle, and they've lost a lot of money because they keep upping the dosage. And now got one friend in particular that's terrified to go off of it or to switch to one that might be better. So tell us a little bit about what you know about semaglutide.
Well, semaglutide is kind of one of the earlier ones. So it's a one pathway. It only works on that GLP-1 hunger signaling pathway.
And I hear it just completely tanks your appetite. Like you don't want to eat at all.
It does really seem to have a strong effect on people's desire to eat. So that one, because it is one pathway, seems to create the most side effects also, certainly in my experience, versus the two pathway or the three pathway versions. So semaglutide is the Ozempic, like you said, and it's just the older or one of the, it's not one of the first. I shouldn't say that. We've had some GLP-1 drugs before, but they just were never popularized.
Or marketed the way they
were. Or marketed like this one did. Ozempic come out and it really took off. And people have lost a lot of weight.
But do they go to their doctor and get a prescription and typically start on a small dose and then it increases over time?
Yeah, and Janet, I think you're hitting on one of the biggest problems with the way that they are designed to be used by the drug companies is they start on the starting dose, and they all have a different starting dose. And then after 1 to 2 months or 3 months, you go to the next dose, and most of them have 4 doses.
Okay.
So they go from these, like what I'll call smaller doses.
Is it kind of like 2 milligrams, 8 milligrams?
Well, it depends on what drug it is. Okay. You know, like if we're talking about Mounjaro, which is the most common one today.
Tirzepatide,
which is a 2 pathway. You start at 2.5, you go to 5, you go to 7.5, you go to 10, you go to 12.5, and then you go to 15.
And do you keep going up because your weight loss stops or stalls, or why do they keep increasing the dosage?
I think because, honestly, they don't know how to tell people to do it properly. And so the easy answer is just keep upping the dose until we get to the 15 milligram. And by then, they probably lost a tremendous amount of weight if they were obese.
And a tremendous amount of muscle.
The problem is, they've lost a tremendous amount of muscle. They're very likely to be nutrient deficient in multiple nutrients. So when you see the side effects from these GLP-1s, like you'll hear, what is it, Wegovy face or Ozempic butt or whatever they all are. That is clearly and easily corrected by getting in adequate
Protein.
quality protein and getting in adequate quality supplements, nutrients.
And so many people, I'm going to stop you right there, have no idea what adequate quality protein or adequate quality nutrients are. I mean, I just had a friend the other day whose doctor suggested she do this protein drink that comes in a can, and I looked at the ingredients. It didn't have any quality protein, and most of it was seed oils and sugar.
Yeah, you actually sent me a picture of that and asked me what I thought, and I think my words were trash.
Poison. I think you said
and trash.
You said trash and poison. And she also sent me the vitamins that her surgeon recommended that she take after surgery on her stomach, and they were just full of poison and trash.
Poison and trash. And that's what, unfortunately, Janet, you're right, most people don't know, and that is what they're doing. They're doing something that is harmful when they think they're doing something that is beneficial for them. And the studies are clear on this. That is the case in, 80% of supplements on the market don't contain any of the active ingredients, and 95% contain toxic ingredients. So we need to be really, really careful and really, really selective. But to get back to the GLP-1 question, the problem is, and the reason they continue to go up on the dosage is because I think, number one, the doses they start with are higher than they need to be. And then the body will get used to that dose.
So then it stops reacting to it?
So it kind of quits giving that same signal.
Yeah.
So then they go to the double the dose. And then they go to the next dose and next dose. And they keep upping the dose until the receptors just really don't hear it. It's no different than we talk about the insulin resistance.
Right.
So what really has worked for people, and we've seen it over and over and over, is number one, to make sure they get enough protein no matter what drug or what dose they're on.
Which is going to help everything anyway, whether you're on a GLP-1 or not.
Yeah, you don't even have to have the GLP-1 probably if you follow this to get the results. But if you get in adequate protein, which we're going to call for most women, 1 gram per desired body weight. So let's say they're 200 pounds and they want to be 120. Let's say 120 pounds. Let's say 120 grams of protein a day.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I bet you most women don't get a third of that. It's hard. Very, very rarely do we see women who get even 50 or 60 grams.
And I can attest to that because I'm shooting for 130 grams of protein every day. And for almost 3 years, I was hitting it every single day. And then all of a sudden lately, I've kind of fallen off the wagon. So I'm glad we're talking about it because it's going to inspire me to get back on that today. But I can only get in enough protein if I supplement with your protein shake.
Yeah.
You know, I also take Fortigen, which gives me another 50 grams, but I can't eat my way.
No, I'll tell you, Janet, even most guys can't eat their weight in protein.
Right.
And here's the reason that the protein is so extremely critical to this process. Number one, it helps preserve muscle. It helps, it helps preserve lean mass. So when somebody is on Ozempic or Wegovy or Mounjaro, if they're getting enough protein, they're less likely to lose any muscle.
And they're going to lose more fat.
And they're going to lose more fat because protein also is what makes us full. Mm-hmm. So when we eat enough protein, we're way less likely to overeat other things, right? Other foods.
And it speeds up our metabolism.
And protein helps the body burn more fat, build more muscle, all the things that we want, have more energy, better looking skin, better hair, better nails, better, all these things. So when you see these reported side effects of Wegovy face and Wegovy butt.
Or I see when I'm doom scrolling and I'm seeing hair loss from GLP-1s, hair loss,
nutrient depletions. If they were taking the foundational 4 from OptiURX, they would have none of that.
And the protein.
And using the OptiU protein, you would avoid 99.9% of all the side effects. The problem is they're not. They're just given the drug and they're said, take the shot once a week. We'll give you a bigger dose when you come back. And they do have results, so they want to continue doing it. They are losing weight. The problem is as much as 50% of that in the studies is actually muscle. Which means they can never come off the drug and not gain more fat back.
Right,
we
because
see
you have
it
less
over
muscle.
and over and
so
over.
really, over time, you're actually going to end up gaining more fat
and losing more muscle.
Losing more muscle. And I think it's because when you go to the doctor, what's the first thing that you do? They check your blood pressure and they tell you to get on the scales.
Yep, they weigh you.
And they weigh you. And when they weigh you, you're not on any type of body composition scale, and so they're just looking at weight and they're not looking at fat versus muscle.
Correct.
And that is detrimental. It
is detrimental. It really, and you've heard me say this a lot of times, hundreds of times, I don't care how much you weigh.
Right.
I care how much of it's fat and how much of it's muscle, period.
Yeah.
So what we find is if people would microdose their GLP-1s, where they use a very small amount compared to what the drug companies are pushing, they can stay on it longer term, without the receptors becoming used to it, without any of the side effects. Now, they're not going to get the complete appetite suppression or get as strong of appetite suppression as the people taking the bigger doses. But
that's good.
But that's good because we want them to get in
their protein. Yeah.
Then they will not overeat. They won't be able to overeat on carbohydrates and bad fats. And so what will happen is their body will become more efficient. They will increase what we call their basal metabolic rate, which is how much we burn, how many, I hate to use the word calories because I hate counting calories, but basal metabolic rate measures how many calories we burn a day at rest. So a person, we'll just say, let's just use a woman, for example. A woman who weighs 120 pounds and has, we'll call it 65 or 70 pounds of muscle, will have a very high basal metabolic rate compared to a woman who weighs 180 pounds and has 30 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
Because the muscle burns 70% of the calories that we burn on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So what we want to be is on the high end of muscle, on the low end of fat, and then our bodies are more metabolically efficient, and we do that with protein and the right nutrients. And if we can
always goes back to that.
If we can include them to exercise, we'll have that. So you were at the summit and you heard Mark tell his story, and I can't remember exactly, but in 12 months, he had lost, was it 70
or 75 pounds?
75 pounds, I think is right. I knew it was above 70. Of fat with no GLP-1.
He was
taking following the OptiU-Rx plan.
How many insulin shots?
29 shots a week, and he's on 0.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was on, gosh, I can't remember how many meds. I think it was 14 a day.
No, he's off all meds.
He's off all his meds. He's off all his insulin. He's down over 70 pounds of fat, and he used no GLP-1. He followed the OptiU plan that he learned.
Yep.
And that was get the protein, take the quality supplements, and he is not lifting weights or doing any of that. He is walking on a daily basis. Now, if we could get him to add resistance training to that regimen, there's no telling what his results would be. But still, pretty impressive that he's off 29 insulin shots, 14 meds, down 70 pounds of fat plus in 12 months. And he'll tell you that he's not suffering, he's not starving, he's not denying himself. He's eating by the plan, which is high protein or adequate protein, quality fats, and quality carbohydrates.
And he looks so happy.
And he's so happy. And he's got his wife and his daughter on the plan now. Yep. So that's life-changing. Now, could he have used a GLP-1 and got 70 pounds of fat loss? Yes. 70 pounds of weight loss? Yes. 70 pounds of fat loss? No. Because he would have lost probably 50% of that would have been muscle. So
unless maybe he was microdosing
he was microdosing, taking the supplements, getting the protein.
All right. So somebody asked me this. They said, I'm on this. Actually, they're on semaglutide. They've been doing it for several years, and they get I guess, is it like a preloaded?
Yeah, preloaded
amount?
syringes.
So you
can't
said I can't
microdose.
microdose
Correct.
because it's preloaded and it just, you click
Correct.
it and the whole thing goes in, right?
Correct.
And so I said, well, maybe you could ask your doctor to keep you on the lowest dose and then go on and off every 8 weeks or so, like so your body doesn't get used to it?
You certainly could do that. The other options used to be, and maybe still are from some places, a compounded version where you could microdose.
Yeah.
The problem is, just this week, the FDA came out and said, hey, we're going to be very, very serious. In other words, I'm paraphrasing here, about stopping any compounding pharmacy from making any GLP-1 products. So that's, the semaglutide or, quote, Ozempic version, the Mounjaro version, the Wegovy version, whatever.
So they see how well these things are working and they're swooping in.
Well, the drug companies do not want people getting them through means other than their profit-driven drugs.
Gotcha.
So, and it's sad because they are preloaded. There's no adjustment to the dose that I could see. They're preloaded syringes ready to go with 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, whatever dosage.
Well, I'm on my social media probably way too much, and I was kind of scrolling last night trying to figure out what we were going to talk about today. And one thing that keeps coming up over and over and over again is retatrutide.
Yeah.
So tell us about retatrutide, because it's the newest GLP-1.
Yeah, so let's go back for just a minute. Semaglutide or Ozempic is a single acting one pathway GLP drug.
And then, works on one pathway.
Works on the GLP-1 pathway only.
Okay.
Which is we'll just call it appetite suppression.
Okay.
Then tirzepatide or Mounjaro works down two pathways. It also is a GLP-1 drug because that is the major pathway that it works on, but it also works on another pathway called GIP. So it's a two-pathway drug, which seems to cut out 90% of the side effects of nausea and vomiting and those more common things. It still has the same issues with, if you don't get enough protein, you're going to burn more muscle. You're going to, have the hair loss and all that if you don't get enough nutrients.
And a lot of times I'll see that one it'll just be called a GLP-2.
Some people do name it, GLP-1, GLP-2, and then retatrutide, GLP-3. The reason that the GIP, the second pathway, is important is that's the glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide.
Say that again.
Now, I know. It's not even worth saying again. But what it means is it helps your body know when to produce insulin and at what amount. So I
can't kind of reset your insulin
to say that, but that is kind of what it's doing. It's resetting your insulin receptors,
which is a good thing.
That's a good thing because if we've beat this horse to death, but if we can keep our insulin levels at a minimum, at a low optimal level, we will burn fat and we'll feel good and won't be inflamed and we'll be less likely to have a heart attack, strokes, or cancer, or all the things that are killing us. So,
and when our insulin is high, we cannot burn fat.
Cannot.
And then, the first thing I ask people is they'll ask me a question and I'll say, what is your fasting insulin?
Yeah.
And they'll say, what is that? My doctor's never checked it.
And they're not going to.
They're not going to.
They're not going to.
And I'm like, well, you need to know your fasting insulin because if it's high, no matter what you're doing, you're not going to lose any fat.
That's correct. It doesn't matter how much you exercise. It doesn't matter how much you sleep. It doesn't matter what you do. If your insulin's high, it's not going to work. Now,
there's so many friends of mine that are my age that are running every day, lifting weights, doing all the things, and nothing is moving the needle.
Yeah. Well, Janet, remember, if they don't have the basics, there's a reason that we have a foundational for supplements. There's a reason that there are 5 pillars to the OptiU program, and none of them include peptides or GLP-1 or any of that.
Water, sunshine, the right food,
supplements,
sleep,
water, exercise, and sleep. It's you got to dial those things in before you go to hormones and then peptides. And so that's kind of the pathway. People want to easy button shortcut, right? Oh, I'll just take Ozempic and I'll be great.
Well, and if you're not changing your lifestyle, those pathways don't work as well. So you're needing higher and higher doses.
That's correct.
Because you're not changing anything else.
So I think that I know just from the experience of all the people I've seen, Ozempic versus Mounjaro, so one pathway versus two pathways. The two pathway is not only more effective for their, quote, weight loss, which I hate to use those terms, but that's what they're going for, but it has much less side effects. Now, you mentioned retatrutide, which is not even available commercially at this point.
And that's going to roll out. The clinical trials are going on right now.
They have had phenomenal results that have blown away both semaglutide and tirzepatide in the phase 1 and phase 2 studies for retatrutide, which is a triple pathway agonist.
So it's sometimes called GLP-3.
Some people will refer to it that way because it's working on 3 pathways.
So what are those 3 pathways?
So the GLP-1 or the appetite suppression, the GIP or the make the insulin and receptors work better, and then it works along a glucagon pathway, which the hope is that it will help preserve more muscle rather than burn more muscle. Now, in the research that I've seen, people did lose more weight, but they didn't distinguish
between fat
muscle and fat. So I don't know, but that is the theory, that by having that third glucagon pathway, that there would be less muscle loss than with the ones that are 1 and 2 pathways only.
I did see in retatrutide clinical trials that, gosh, it was a huge number, like 90% of people with fatty liver, it took care of their fatty liver.
Well, it makes sense, right? Because if they're not eating the carbohydrates, the sugar is what causes the fat around the liver and the sugar responders. So if it suppresses their appetite, then they're going to not be accumulating the fat around the liver.
And you make better choices with what you're eating when you don't have much of an appetite.
Correct. You don't have to be on retatrutide to do that, but it does have that effect. And the effect is because it's lowering the insulin and the blood sugar. It's not, fatty liver is not, hear me, caused by fat. Fatty liver is caused by glucose, sugar responders in the body, and then the liver converts it to fat. So there is such and even by the medical field, that fatty liver is caused by eating fat. That is not true. That is not at all true.
Good fat burns fat.
Just like triglycerides are fat in the blood, are not caused from eating fat. They are caused from the body converting sugar to fat to try to protect us. So fatty liver is the same concept. The triglycerides are probably already through the roof, which is now why we were accumulating around the liver at that point. So, yes, these drugs can definitely help. These GLP drugs can definitely help fatty liver because they're stopping the body from craving the Lay's potato chips and the Little Debbie cakes and the cookies and the pies and the ice cream or whatever it is.
The peanut butter filled pretzels.
Yeah,
that's my weakness.
So what we find though, Janet, and I've done this for 35 years with, I can't tell you how many thousands of people who've had fatty liver or elevated liver enzymes, sometimes caused by their statin drug, by the way, because it can lead to that. Because it lowers your body's ability to burn certain things. It lowers your body's ability to make energy, is the way I should say that. So alpha-lipoic acid, the right alpha-lipoic acid, and Kangen water will only about 100% of the time correct the fatty liver.
Wow.
If you can just get them to make almost any small change in what they're consuming. And so,
can fatty liver turn into like cirrhosis?
Absolutely, if it continues. The fatty liver epidemic is, it's a lot of people don't know they have it.
And it's how much visceral fat you have.
It's liver around the Well, it can indicate. It can't tell us, but it would be a good indicator if your visceral fat level is high, which is something we measure on an in-body. You can have it measured different ways. That's the way we measure it. If you have a higher than normal or higher than desired visceral fat, that is a good sign that you could have fat around the liver or fat around the pancreas or, other organs.
Right.
So, yeah, but the body is very smart. And when you start doing the right things and give the body the right nutrients and take the right supplements and go out and walk and, change some of the foods you eat, the body will burn that visceral fat first.
Yeah.
So, look, I can tell you that if you look at the studies, University of North Carolina, School of, I think, Public Health did a study and said that 87.5% of Americans have what they quote called metabolic disease. Yes. I'm going to translate that to insulin resistance, high insulin.
About 90% of people.
So, yeah, now there are other studies that say it's higher than that, okay? But we'll just say it's 9 out of 10. They all have fatty liver.
And don't know it.
So when you think about that, they just don't know it. Nobody's ever diagnosed it. Nobody's ever done an ultrasound to look. No, I mean, it's or a test to check for it. But it's not hard to figure out because the insulin causes the body to accumulate fat, and when it's high, I should make sure I'm
back to needing to know your.
And the only reason your insulin would be high is if you're eating things that drive it up. Yeah. And those are not just things that you think of. I mean, there's certainly things that we think of like cookies, cake, ice cream, those things. But there's a lot of other things that run the blood sugar up. Just like the protein drink that your friend was suggested to drink. That is going to accumulate a lot of fat around the liver because it's going to spike the blood sugar because it's literally sugar-flavored canola oil.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally what it is, which are things that we should avoid at all costs.
I have so many friends that are trying to be empowered and be the CEO of their own health.
Yeah.
And they're trying to go to their doctors and ask the right questions, and it's so frustrating. Like they can't go ask their doctor for retatrutide yet because it's not available yet, right?
It will be later this year or early next year.
Okay.
That's what I'm told by Eli Lilly.
So then the next step would be, if you're not going on GLP-1, get your lifestyle right. And I think for women in premenopause or menopausal women need to ask about hormone replacement therapy. So now I've come up against so many dead ends and roadblocks in my community of friends where they're going to their doctor and saying, hey, they're being proactive. Can you check my hormones and my thyroid? So then, a month goes by and they text me back and go, hey, I went to my doctor. She checked my hormones and she said, you know what? Your hormone levels are all normal. So you don't need to worry about that. Yeah. So what is normal hormone levels when you're 63 years old?
Well, Janet, here's the problem. They base hormone levels for women. They have these different age categories, right? And they'll say, okay, if you're postmenopausal, this number is normal. Quote, normal. What they fail to tell you is that makes you at a risk for 1 in 2 women dying of heart disease at that point versus 1 in 37 when their hormones were optimal. Yeah. So we have to take that with a grain of salt. That is a provider who just doesn't know. I mean, just hasn't been trained.
I don't.
They are normal,
frustrated.
And normal is sick.
Yeah, normal is
can't
sick.
Burn off fat.
Normal is hot flashes all night long.
Don't feel good, and hot flashes, and
brain
night
fog,
sweats,
and aging,
and low libido, and all
insulin
the things
resistance,
that people don't want.
Fat, all that is normal at our age.
Quote,
and that's sick.
Normal. That's correct.
And it's so frustrating.
It is very frustrating, Janet, because we see this all the time that they're told they're normal, and they know they don't feel good. And they know they can't burn fat no matter what they do. And they, so we see that they can't sleep because of their wake up. I mean, I literally talked to a lady this week who said, I literally have to get up most nights and change the sheets.
Yeah, because she's so soaking
wet. Not just her clothes, the sheets, because she's sweating that much. That is a true tragedy because bioidentical progesterone will only fix that 100% of the time.
I remember when I would keep beach towels or my really very absorbent yoga towels next to the bed, and I would wake up, have to take my clothes off because I was soaking wet. Then I would put a towel down on top of the sheets because I'm not going to change my sheets in the middle of the night and go back to bed just to stay dry. And so finally when I went to the doctor and said, I am sweating all night long, what's going on? And she handed me Prozac.
Yeah. Well, again, Janet, it's just lack of education about bioidentical hormones and what is normal, because there's no patent for it. There's no money to be made by the drug companies, so they don't teach. They don't teach the providers. As a matter of fact, I've told the story about my daughter in PA school.
Yeah.
Was told, and her whole class was told that bioidentical hormones don't work. There's no studies. They're dangerous, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. So a lot of them, that's their answer, because that's what they've been taught by the, quote, experts. So it's really sad, Janet. It's no different than the GLP-1s we've been talking about, how there's no education. There's just, here, take this shot. We'll give you a bigger shot, a bigger shot, a bigger shot. Yeah, wow, you lost 70 pounds. Oh, but we didn't tell you you're sicker than ever because you lost 30 pounds of muscle. Yeah. So,
and then everybody has autoimmune issues, and that compounds everything is worse now. And I think the autoimmune diseases are caused by this metabolic disease and not knowing how to
it certainly contributes to it. It certainly contributes to it.
So we're getting off track. So we were talking about peptides and GLP-1s, and the thing we didn't go over that I want to make sure we get in is I didn't ask you in the most basic form, what is a peptide? Because it's not really a drug. I mean,
no, well, some peptides are natural and some peptides are what we'll call synthetic, where they have been altered somewhat to not what's naturally made in the body or found in the body. But peptides are simply short chains of amino acids. And when I say amino acids, I mean, think protein. Think the OptiU protein shake.
Like a protein powder.
Yeah, that is a big, long chain of amino acids. So let's say
like over 100.
Leucine, valine, there's so many. Arginine, I mean, we can go down the list. Carnitine. But just think of those amino acids being put together in these chains. They're held together, in chains together in, say, things like meat or protein. Those are long chains of amino acids. Peptides are shorter chains of amino acids. And what peptides do in the body is they signal the body to take some action. Like a GLP-1 says, hey, don't crave some of the things you were craving before. Suppresses your appetite. Other peptides may tell the body to, hey, burn more fat. Other peptides may tell the body, release more growth hormone. Other peptides can tell the body to do different things, right? Increase your energy, decrease inflammation, heal the gut lining.
Gut lining, yeah.
So there's different peptides for different things. But
are any of them legal?
They're basically signaling molecules. That's what you need to think of. They're signaling molecules made up of amino acids.
And
very few at this point, because the FDA made a ruling that most of them are Category 1, which means they're not safe for human use, not enough data for human use. So there are some that are available.
Because I see where you can buy them online, even on Amazon now.
Well, those are for research purposes only, but there are some now that are available through strips that we have. And instead of injections, you can use a strip on your tongue or on the roof of your mouth.
Okay. And it dissolves?
And those are dissolved and give you very good blood levels because they are short. They are more short chains of amino acids. So instead of being 50 or 60 amino acids, they're typically less.
And what are they good for? Some of these ones that are
one of the most exciting ones is BPC 157, which is, quote, the Wolverine healer.
Yeah.
So BPC 157 just has the ability to, it's body protection compound. It just tells the body to heal. So if you have an injury, it is shown in the studies to decrease the recovery time of, say, ACL tear, the recovery from that by 50%, or the recovery from a rotator cuff surgery.
And they're showing that it heals your gut lining. It helps your skin,
it can definitely help gut. I mean, it is protecting the body, just what it says. So it sends signals to heal and to reduce, injuries. So
you can get that at any pharmacy, or you have to have a prescription?
No, it's not a prescription because it's, quote, oral.
Okay.
You're doing it in the mouth. You're not injecting it. It goes under the supplement category. So we carry those at Prescriptions Plus in Gastonia. I would venture to guess there's probably not a handful of pharmacies in the country that even know they exist.
All right, cool.
But we carry that. So there's BPC 157, there's thymosin alpha 1 for the immune system, there's PT 141 for sexual desire and performance. There's
these are over the counter.
CJC 1295 for growth hormone,
Really?
which is fat burning, muscle building, peptide. So there's others. Those are the ones that come to my mind right off. Yeah.
So we can get those at your pharmacy. And,
yes, you can.
all right. Well, that's good to know.
So yes, there are some that are becoming available that are, quote, OTC, over the counter. They don't require a prescription. You would treat them just like you treat a supplement. Most of them, unfortunately, today have to be either bought through a research-only company or just do without.
And then
the problem is,
don't know what you're getting.
You have no idea what you're getting ready to inject, and that's dangerous to me. So we got to be really careful.
Wow, we took in a lot of information. So, I did learn a lot about retatrutide. I wanted to hear about that because I know that's coming out. And it sounds like if you need to go to your doctor and talk about fat loss, maybe ask about hormones first. Think about your lifestyle and what you're eating and your supplements and your protein.
There you go. Before you even ask.
Right. And then, you got to do things in the right order.
Janet, everybody wants a shortcut. Like say they want the easy button. I can tell you right now, if you are protein deficient, peptides are not going to really work because peptides are amino acids. They're protein. They're made up of little small chains of what we call protein.
They can't even work if you don't have enough protein?
They will be diverted to more important things. Let's say you don't have enough protein to build new brain cells, or you don't have enough protein to build new bone cells.
So it's going to do that before it helps me burn fat.
Before it helps you burn fat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's why these people are using these mega doses of these things and having the results they're having, because we're shortcutting. We're going way down the line of important things, and we're just skipping the first 6 or 7.
It goes back to that, someone said, "Oh, your life seems so much more balanced now." I'm like, "Nope, it's kind of all or nothing for me." It's like I have to be way over here and try to just have a new lifestyle where it's kind of going all in, because going back and forth is harder for me.
Well, I think if people will come to something like the OptiU program or do a consult with me, and we can make some simple changes that will make big changes in their quality of life and what they weigh and all those things, how they feel. And then if they need additional help, certainly, but make sure that we're helping them, guide them to do it properly, where they're not dependent on it forever, where they never need the bigger doses, and where they get phenomenal results and they can come off of it and not have to continue spending $1,500 a month.
I want to end with something that I hear every single day.
Okay.
Every single day, somebody comes to me after they've had a consult with you, and they just throw up their hands and say, "Why did I wait 3 years, 5 years, 8 years? You've been telling me, go get a consult from Billy all this time, and instead I went to 10 doctors, I gained 50 more pounds, I've spent all this money on all these other things." So I just have to give you that plug today, because Janet, I hear that every single day.
It is.
Whether it's cancer or an autoimmune, or if you have lupus, or if you have whatever, come get a consult.
Well, we were just, we hike every Saturday morning, a group of us hike. And we were talking this Saturday, and this provider, and I won't mention who this provider is, but they were talking about how two of the people in our hike were talking about how they felt they had been taken advantage of by this particular provider. They felt like they'd spent a bunch of money and got absolutely nothing. And they felt like it was a money-making process only, not about helping anybody, but making money. And they were both very frustrated with it. And so, that does happen a lot, unfortunately. And there are people who, number one, don't really know what they're doing.
No, they had a weekend course on hormones, and now they're giving out hormones.
And there are people who maybe are just in it to make money and not to really help the people. I personally want to help the person, and that's how I make money. Is the way that I look at it. So you're right, but we're probably long here. But this was I hope, an informative thing. If you're going to use GLP-1, use low dose. Get in your protein. Make sure, if we can get you to exercise, but make sure you're taking the right supplements and getting in the adequate
Quick
protein.
question. If somebody wants a one-on-one consult with you and they're listening to us in Louisiana or Alabama or Florida or somewhere else across the United States, how do they do that?
They just go to the
website?
link that Mike can put at the bottom, or they can go to optiurx.com.
And can you do that virtually?
Yeah, we do it virtually all the time.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Great.
All right.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks.